I'd call myself spiritual rather than religious, and this work is like worship for me. I rarely go to church, except when I'm working in one. But I know that there's more to this than just putting parts together. And the musical expression in the end, and the way that affects people's lives and their worship, is also a really special thing to be involved in.
We want to just stay ahead of the wet glue so that we get one smooth glue joint the whole length of the rib.
Okay.
Yep. 1, 2, 3, go. Straight as you can.
I'm usually not speechless when I see something, but I was in total awe at the size of it and the beauty of it. What has motivated me, I think, is to give generously to the church, and especially to this project, is from the time I was very small, even though, as I told you earlier, I was born in the Depression. We really didn't have much money. But Daddy said you always ought to give the money you're going to give to projects that you really believe in the church off the top. Because if you wait till you spend the other money, you'd never have any money to give.
Somebody else needs to come give it a try.
Charles was drafted into the Army, but was selected from his group to do work on the Manhattan Project. And he worked first in Chicago and then in Los Alamos, and was a member of a detonation team headed by Oppenheimer. They would meet as a group and they would exchange ideas, and they were treated, all members of the group were treated as equals.
Respect for other people's ideas, because they're what are going to give you the possibility of coming up with a solution, it's an amazing way to work. I had 5 years with him here before he died. And in those 5 years, I learned a tremendous amount, not just about organ building, but about approaching life in an artistic way with integrity.
We listen to ideas from everyone, and it's people in the company appreciate the fact that their opinions are valued, and it works. It's very successful.
If you have a problem, you get a bunch of smart people together around a table and talk it over, and the synthesis that comes out of that. So one idea was to put them. People have ideas, and if they feel free to put them out, even if they're ridiculous, they may set off something in somebody else that wouldn't have been set off. So we have what are like jam sessions when we run into a problem, when we have something we want to solve.
That would be wonderful.
Just throw out ideas and people riff off of somebody else's idea, just like jazz.
Enigmatic, committed, totally committed to this place and to his people, extremely musical, incredible ear, at times a joy to be around and at times very frustrating.
He was a very intense man also, and particularly when it came to organ building. He just loved the instrument, and he was most often disappointed by the sounds that came out of instruments, even his own, and he was always trying to make them better.
He taught me how to look at what had been done over the past 2,000 years of organ building and use that as a jumping off point for our work, taking the principles that were involved, not necessarily the details.
When he first started out in business in the 50s, he was not building tracker organs. But then he went to Europe and he studied the old organs that Bach would have played on and others, Buxtehude, Franck. He came back to America and completely switched gears and decided that mechanical key action was the way to go. The reason is that the player has complete control over the attack and the release of each pipe in the organ. It's a mechanical connection between the keyboard and the valve under the pipe.
Everyone shares in the decision-making. The designing of an organ is a communal job. Many shops, there's one boss who dictates what's going to happen. All the ideas come from him, and then the workers simply do his or her bidding. In this shop, it's very important to me, as it was to Charles Fisk, that everyone have ownership in the project.
Harvard was the first four-manual tracker organ built in the United States in the 20th century. Some very important people were involved, and that they chose Charles Fisk and his new company was a really big deal in the small, arcane organ world. The most rewarding part for me is working with this group. These people who I respect so much, who have so many different abilities and who have so many different backgrounds and so much different training. How much fun it is to bring that all together in one place and work with everybody. None of us can do this by ourselves. Lots of businesses pay lip service to teamwork, but here it's essential. We can't get the organ built without relying on each other to do our parts